Hey y'all, how's it going? Good news. I got a microphone. um, Obviously this is a bit awkward for me to be like holding this while I'm recording audio. A lapel mic could have been wiser, but I think this will be really nice for doing the voiceovers while I'm working. Hopefully the quality is a little bit better, although I wouldn't say it was that bad before. Um, I just am interested in like really clean, crisp audio. uh, with that being said, this video is going to be me working on a collage. Honestly, it's been a bit hard for me to like draw and paint for a while now. I don't know. I just have like so much anxiety surrounding it. I put a lot of pressure on myself to make really good things. And for everything that I make to be like the best quality thing that I've ever made, and I have trouble letting go of that thought. So collaging is kind of like a new thing for me. It's a way for me to like cut up old drawings and reuse them in new ways. I can create like a lot of depth and a lot of texture by bringing in magazine elements. I have a lot of craft magazines that I've collected, which you'll see in the video. So yeah, it's something new for me to do. I also integrate a little bit of crochet into this collage, which is another thing that I'm learning to do. A kind of new process, new technique, which has been fun so far. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this collage came out, and I'm excited to show you guys what I did and give you some insight into my process. I hope you guys are doing well. I know it's hard right now. It's been, nearly a year since quarantine started, and I think it's wearing on a lot of people. Certainly on me. So yeah, I hope you guys are faring the storm well, and that you're safe and happy and healthy. And that you enjoy this video. Maybe you get a little bit of like relaxation from it. That'd be sick if I could give that gift to you. But yeah, let's get started. So I pull out my bin of like scrap papers and stuff. I save just about everything that is waste when it comes to paper or doing color swatches. And I've started using them in this collage format. I'm really interested in trying to utilize all of the waste from my practice rather than just throwing it away. So the first piece I'm attaching here is a piece of fabric scrap, and I'm just puncturing holes with an awl through the paper so I can get the needle through easily. It proved to be a little bit difficult using the awl and not marking the holes on the fabric because I couldn't see where the holes were on the front. And I faced that problem several times while working on this, like not being able to see the holes from the front because of the thing I was sewing. So yeah, I mean, that's just part and parcel, I guess. I mean, these are fun to do. I feel good about being able to use waste from my practice, like I said. I suppose it helps me cope with my own hang-ups on drawing, and allows me to like experiment a little bit more just by fiddling with like the collage arrangement before attaching it. So it's like experimentation without commitment. Whereas drawing, I don't know, lately it's just like I've got huge blockages around it. I don't feel like any of the work I'm making is interesting or that there's enough content. But I don't want to get too deep into that. Uh, this is the first crochet swatch that I made. just a single crochet, and I play around with trying to integrate that into the collage throughout the video. It ended up being too big. And because it was too big, I still wanted to integrate these sort of like fiber textures into the collage. So then I remembered I had all of these magazines from the 70s. I don't remember what they're called, like Golden Hands or something. I got them at Savers a couple of years ago, and they've just kind of been sitting on my shelf. So I alternate between marking with Post-its, passages that I want to investigate further as far as like actually doing the techniques that, there are tutorials for. So I alternate between labeling those passages and then tearing out what I think are interesting textures and kind of adding them to my collage pile. And this was a fun diversion for me, allowed me to find what I thought were some interesting textures. I kind of shied away from collage for a long time because collage as I knew it was more to do with like fashion media and women's media, so like Cosmo, old issues of Vogue. That was most of the collage that I saw, and that's never resonated with me as like a fat queer person. I don't want to dedicate any time or thought to the way that media reproduces certain expectations of presenting your body in a certain way, being a certain size or a certain level of fashionable or feminine. So I never wanted to be a part of that conversation, so I think I boxed collage into that arena for a long time, and I'm becoming more interested in collage as a way to deal with the byproducts of my practice. I do make a lot of drawings that I know aren't good, that are hard to let go of. I don't want to just throw them away, and collect some old media, like these craft magazines that have really interesting textures and tutorials within, that I think could be an interesting addition to my two-dimensional practice. I think for a long time I've been interested in the visual language of craft instructional videos and images that have been circulating, since printed magazines were a thing, since books were a thing. These very simple diagrams that instruct people on how to do very complex things. I'm interested in that visual language, and I've never found a way to integrate it into my work without being too didactic. So I think that collage is a possible entry point in using some of that language and incorporating it into my work more. So hopefully I can continue to practice that and experiment a little bit more. We'll see if my attention holds. Because let's be honest, I'm like constantly, starting new projects, abandoning old ones, starting new techniques, learning new techniques, just to change my outlook a little bit. So I think that's what I'm trying to do right now by dipping my toes in the collage pool, and also, like I mentioned in my intro, learning crochet, which has proven to be a little bit more fun than knitting, just because it's it feels more fluid. But anyway, it's fun going through these magazines. I the colors in the 70s were just so vivid, and I just really enjoy 70s color palettes. And it's also interesting to think about, were the techniques that were being taught in this magazine more universally practiced, or is that just my perception because I have the magazine that's from the 70s? You know what I mean? Like, was craft more common of a practice then than it is now? I'm curious about that. I mean, I know the craft industry, like, is $1 billion industry currently. But I mean, I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by like making clothes, and I can't imagine people like sewing eyelets in a shirt that they had made. Like, that's such a labor intensive process. It just seems totally alien to me, and I'm interested in that kind of time portal of labor that might not be as common now when it comes to making things for the home. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy looking through these magazines. I think they're really visually engaging. I love the illustrations, the fashion illustrations within. You just don't really get that anymore. They're not quite as classic as the 50s ones, but still really interesting. Like, obviously modeled off of Twiggy, who was the first supermodel pretty much, and an icon at the time. Yeah. I am excited to try some of the techniques I found in here, though, like the eyelets, and I started doing crochet, honestly, because I want to be able to make my own lace. I have a lot of doilies that I inherited from, well, my mother gave them to me. My grandmother had them in her possession when she died, and I believe that my great-grandmother made them. So I've been thinking about my relationship to my great-grandmother and how to unpack that. She also quilted, which is something that I know how to do. And yeah, I think it's interesting to like try and synthesize some of the techniques that she used, but under my own more queer practices. Like, obviously my great grandmother was like a poor white woman growing up in the South in the early 1900s. So that, her life was probably full of a lot of racism and a lot of homophobia. I'm sure she was very Christian and had a lot of specific ideas attached to that about, what type of people should be together, who belongs where. Yeah, I mean, like, that's all speculation, but like, what are the chances that my great grandma wasn't a racist, bigoted Christian? Anyway, so I'm interested in unpacking some of the processes that she used and like unpacking her context within my context, being a queer person that grew up in the South and felt very unwelcome here. So I have a piece that I want to kind of sew or crochet lace into. I'm essentially gonna like sew huge eyelets or grommets, big holes into this thing, and then crochet lace. But that's a long way away. Crocheting lace is it's what seems like a very difficult thing to do. So I'll have to build up quite a bit of skill before I can continue on this piece and add these lace details. But yeah, so that's why I feel like I got off on a huge tangent there. That's why I'm learning crochet, but in this piece, I think it's interesting, and part of the reason why I keep playing with, that green crochet swatch, the first single crochet I did. I think it's interesting to kind of juxtapose these printed photographs of knitted and crocheted textiles with an actual crocheted object. It's kind of like the real versus the unreal. Kind of reinforces the divide between the photographic and the tactile, which I think is an interesting subject when it comes to something that is meant to be experienced physically, like textiles. Like, they're so haptic and so textured that a lot of that is flattened through a photograph. So yeah, I was thinking about that while I was making this. I actually really enjoy this process of puncturing with the awl and then sewing through layers of paper. It's obviously a lot more rigid than fabric, so I don't really have to worry about puckering. And there's something about like the thread pulling between the layers of paper, like the way that it, like the roughness of it, the way that it kind of vibrates through your fingers and you can feel it. It's like very tactile and very satisfying for me. And I think, I don't know, the longer I make art, I feel like painting and drawing always feel so forced to me, and I always have so many blocks around it, and I really want to get past those blocks, right? But when I'm having a hard time and can't seem to draw or paint anything that I think is any good, or can't even bring myself to go in my studio, what I turn to is craft. So I feel like I'm just trying to fool myself into thinking that I'm more of a like traditional 2D artist than I actually am. I think what's most stimulating to me is the kind of like blending of craft with traditional fine art, and kind of challenging what traditional fine art is or what it can look like. I don't know, it just I feel like I'm fighting with myself all the time. Like, you need to go draw, you need to draw more, you need to make more paintings, that's what people want to buy. That's more sellable than these like massive fiber sculpture pieces. But it's like, I don't know, I just keep getting, I keep reaching dead ends in my like drawing and painting practice, where I just don't feel like there's not any meat to what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I feel like with my craft practice, there's so much that I can dig into conceptually. Like, it all just feels laid out, and like there are a million paths that I can follow. But with drawing and painting, whenever I start in at something, I'm like, this doesn't mean anything. This is totally like just shallow formal work that doesn't resonate with anybody else. I'm just throwing a bunch of shit together. Like, I don't know, I just question myself so much, and I think I feel very burdened by the history of drawing and painting, and being so entrenched in that history. It feels like a lot. It feels like a lot to contend with that, and to be in conversation with these like heavy hitters of art history who were working primarily in drawing and painting. But that's something I need to get past, you know? Like, I need to find a space for like play and exploration, and not be questioning myself all the time, because when it comes down to it, this is more of a problem with my perspective on things and my own confidence in myself and my ability to make art that is good, or even my ability to explore without worrying about making things that are good. And it's something I always struggle with. I'm hoping I can find an end to it, but I don't think there ever will be. I think I just need to learn to cope with it better. Anyway, this is the finished piece. I'm just sewing up the other side of this like painted canvas swatch that I had sewn on. Is this like a good collage? I don't know about that, but did I have fun doing it? Yes. Was it interesting to make? Yes. So maybe the question shouldn't be, is it good? It should just be, did I gain something from it? That's what I need to start asking myself. Did I gain something from it? And in this case, I think yes. So, success, right? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a good week. I'll see you soon. Take care of yourself. Be patient with yourself and have a good time. I'm gonna try to as well. Okay. Bye.